that you are the perfect mother for this child. God chose you for this child. You are perfect for them, and you know exactly what they need when they need it. So trust yourself. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing the highly requested postpartum video. I asked over on Instagram what postpartum questions you guys had, and you guys came in hot. So I am going to be as transparent as possible. Things might get a little TMI-ish, but here we are. We're doing this because if you're pregnant and if you're watching this video, you gotta get ready for it. So let's just get started because we have a lot to go through. Before we get started, actually, if you're new here, my name is Yami and I do everything from lifestyle to workouts to fashion to home stuff, now baby stuff, and I'd be honored if you hit the subscribe button and just joined a little community that we have built here. So thank you for watching, and let's just jump right into it. I should also say I had a baby 10 weeks ago, and I've learned probably the most I have in the shortest amount of time. I do want to say though, I am not an expert by any means. This is just my experience and what I've gone through, and if my experience can help somebody else out, then I'm good with that. So let's get started. I'm just gonna go in order. We're just gonna start off real strong. Personal question, but how is your healing down there? I'm nervous about that part. Okay, so I had a vaginal delivery and I did tear, I think it was a 2nd degree tear. I know it was a 2nd degree tear. And the recovery was hard, but nothing like crazy. It could be that I just like don't really remember it anymore. But healing is great. I'm fine now. I am cleared. I could wear a tampon, I can have sex, I can do all that stuff now. But before that, the healing process was very, it's like anything, right? Like you have a surgery and you have to like take it easy. I did make those padsicles when I was pregnant, so I had those ready to go, and I'll tell you, those helped tremendously. I do have a list of my postpartum essentials, so I'll link that down below for you guys. But essentially, I made the padsicles, which is just like pads with aloe vera, witch hazel, and some other ingredients, and you put them in the freezer. That's why you call it the padsicles. And I would take them out before I would get in the shower so they can kind of cool off or not be as cold when I were to put them in my underwear. Those helped a ton. And I had some friends that gave birth a couple days and a couple weeks before me, and they both did vaginal deliveries, and they both teared as well. But their healing was a little bit different than mine. Like they were good to go like, a couple weeks before me or a couple days before me. So I will say that everybody's journey is different, but it's nothing that you can't get through. I promise you that. How did you and your husband tag team each other when it came to caring for Luna? So the first 3 weeks where he was at home, we did everything at the same time. Like we were waking up at the same time, we were feeding her at the same time. Obviously he cannot breastfeed, so he was just up with me pretty much doing what I needed him to do. Like anything that wasn't breastfeeding, he would do. So like we would wake up, he'd grab her, he'd change her diaper, hand her to me for breastfeeding. I would hand her back to him. He would swaddle her, put her back down. And that went on for a long time. And even when he went back to work, we tried the like the shifts type thing, but that didn't really like work for us because we were always like awake, even if the other one, even when the other one was in their shift. So for us, we were just tag teaming the whole time. The only time that I pretty much took on the entire night is when he had to be up early for work. He does work at a church, so he has to be at the church at like 6:30, so he has to be up at like 5:30. So in nights like that, I would just take over and try to not wake him up as best as possible. But I will say that we have done most of the 10 weeks together, which I have loved personally. How long do these night sweats last for? Listen, nobody talked about this. Nobody talked about the night sweats. I had night sweats pretty much every single day, continuously for 6-7 weeks. And my night sweats weren't like a little sweat here and there. It was like I had to change 2 to 3 times a night. And the next morning I'd wake up and all my clothes on the floor because they were so drenched. I can't tell you how long they last. I know that I asked on Instagram because I wanted to see and hear what my followers thought, and it was all over the place. So I think, again, it's just very personal. I do know that if you're still breastfeeding, it could last longer, which makes total sense because your hormones are just out of whack. I have gotten a lot better with the night sweats. Like, they're not as bad, but I still do sweat. It might not be every day anymore, and it might not be as severe, but I do wake up and I am still kind of sweating. It's just not enough for me to change anymore. How long do the newborn sleepless nights phase last? When will we feel more human? I don't know. I think for me, or for us, I should say, Luna didn't gain her weight back when she needed to. So for us, we had to keep waking her up every 2 to 3 hours, even in the night, which is why we didn't get any sleep. Now, I know that if their babies gain that weight back, sometimes the pediatrician will tell you that you don't have to wake them up in the middle of the night to feed. So if your baby gains its weight back pretty quickly, you should be fine. But then you also have other babies that just cry because they're hungry in the middle of the night, and you have to tend to that. Again, everything is just so personal that it's really hard to say like, it's gonna last you 6 weeks, it's gonna last you 8 weeks, you know? I know some people that are still doing it and they're 4 weeks older than Luna. Whereas Luna, if she sleeps through the night, we're good. She did give us like a run of 3 days where she slept 7 and 8 hours, and we're like, oh my God, we're in that phase now. And then the next couple days she went back to feeding twice a night. So it's all very different. What's the thing that made you happy but you didn't expect? Happy surprise. That's a good question. I honestly don't know. Everything has been so happy. I think for me, it's like those in-between moments that you're just like holding your baby. And because like when you're pregnant, you think about like you're having a kid and your life's gonna change and this and that. But there was one day where Taz was holding Luna and I was sitting on the couch on the other side, and I just started crying because I was just so happy. I was just looking at her and I was like in disbelief that she was ours and that, you know, she was in my belly. And it's like this whole emotion that you just don't know what to do with. Well, I don't anyway. And I've just been like overwhelmed with so much happiness and joy. It's just so, it's hard. It's definitely hard, but it's also been a very joyous season. How did you and Taz adjust schedules when he returned to work? Taz, any tips for dads? Well, he's not here right now, so I apologize, but I think I pretty much answered this question. But now that he's back at work, if I have her throughout the day, I don't necessarily clock out when he gets home. He's just more involved, obviously. He's very much involved with the bedtime, the shower, the feeding. Like, he is definitely present when he gets home, and that's what I really, really want. And I don't know that we want to like tag each other in, especially not now when it's just so new and she's not going to be this little forever. So we want to definitely take advantage of that and just do everything together as much as possible, obviously. Did your baby go through a fussy phase around 6 to 8 weeks and refuse to sleep? So she doesn't go through a fussy phase at night. She goes through a fussy phase, and I say fuzzy, she's fussy because she doesn't like to nap at home. Now that she's 11 weeks, tomorrow or this Sunday, I find that she's doing much better with napping. We're finally getting to a routine where she's napping. But the past couple of weeks, she never wanted to nap unless somebody was holding her or if we were out. So one thing about Luna is that she only cries when she's hungry, I've noticed. And so she's not really fussy. If she's not sleeping, she's just like wide-eyed, bushy-tailed, like she doesn't want to sleep, but she's not crying. We have been very lucky with that. But there was like times where she wouldn't want to sleep at night, but that only lasted for a couple of days while she was in her leap. But other than that, she's been pretty good sleeper. Hair loss. I'm losing handfuls, well, almost. Anything you're doing to help stop it? So to answer this truthfully, I haven't noticed anything a major difference for me. I naturally lose a lot of hair my entire life. Like, I'm talking about clumps. And so I don't know that I've noticed anything more. But again, this is so personal, and I'm sorry I don't have like more advice on how to stop it, but I think it's just something that we have to go through until it stops, just because our hormones are just still regulating and coming back to normal, you know? Are you sore after pumping? I get sore and trying to figure out if that's normal. What is sore? Is it your nipple? Is it your breast? I know that I went to go see a lactation specialist and she asked me if they were hurting, if it was cracked, if they're bleeding, anything like that. Thankfully, they haven't been like that. I am personally not sore after pumping, but what you want to check is your flange size. So I was using the wrong flange size for a long time, and it wasn't until I saw a lactation specialist where she helped me and I realized that I think I was using like a 28 millimeter flange, and I ended up using a 17. So if you can, I know that some insurance covers lactation specialists. Reach out to a lactation specialist. They can help you like leaps and bounds. Baby items that you bought or were gifted that you haven't needed to use or don't need. honestly, we're using everything. A lot of things, not a lot of things, some things are like not super needed, that they're just nice to have. But a lot of the things that we were gifted, like our baby shower and stuff, we definitely use. The only thing we haven't used just yet is her like things that she'll use when she's a little bit older. But I think that we'll definitely use them. I do have my baby must-haves on my Amazon storefront where I like pretty much combine the list of everything like that you actually need, not a want, if that makes sense. So check that out. I'll link it down below for you. Hi, I'm coming from the future. I just saw that I missed a question and I feel bad and I want to answer it. So the question is, was it hard adjusting after you came home from the hospital? I'm expecting in March. Well, first of all, congratulations. That's really exciting. And second of all, I mean, definitely, right? Like you've never had a kid before. Well, I'm assuming you've never had a child before. And this is all very new. So I honestly, that first couple of weeks was like a blur being here at home, but I think you're gonna be kind of in like survival mode. You're kind of just gonna go through the motions until you get to sleep again. Was it hard adjusting? Honestly, I don't think I had time to like think, am I adjusting well? You know what I mean? Just know that you are so capable and you have everything it takes to adjust as fast as you need to, if that makes sense. I talk about this later on in the video, but I worked myself up so much that when it actually came down to it, I was like, oh, this is not anything like I expected. It's hard, definitely, yes, but you're gonna know exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it. And one day it'll click and you're like, wait, I'm actually getting the hang of this, and this is kind of like my new normal. So I don't know if that made any sense, but I hope it did. Okay, back to the video. Things you were told that 100% happened and things that you were told that didn't. I mean, sleepless nights, crying, that happened. And things that you were told that didn't. Oh, I was told that I would feel the ring of fire during birth, and I did not feel that. My birth was actually, I'm very, very thankful that it was pretty smooth. And yeah, I didn't feel that ring of fire, thank God. How is breastfeeding going? Breastfeeding is going good. She's latching. We're just trying to figure out her little lip tie and tongue tie situation. But other than that, she's doing good. We are supplementing with formula because, like I said earlier, she wasn't gaining that weight back. And it was because of the latch and her like high palate tongue tie lip tie. But we are feeding her. Sometimes she gets a lot from the breast and sometimes she doesn't, which is why we're supplementing with formula. But other than that, no, I don't have a problem. I never really had a passionate one way or another. Like I wasn't passionate about breastfeeding and I wasn't passionate about bottle feeding. So I think for me, I was just very open-minded. I didn't want to be so set on something that I was going to be like devastated if it wasn't going to go my way. When did you start pumping? How do you balance breastfeeding and pumping? Did you see a lactation consultant? Yes, I saw a lactation consultant. She helped tremendously, like I said. I started pumping right away. That's a lie. I did not. I started pumping, I think, after we saw the pediatrician. Somebody told me to pump 30 minutes after our feed to help with production. And so I started doing that. There was a time when I was breastfeeding her, and then 30 minutes later I would pump, and then again I would breastfeed, and then 30 minutes later I would pump. But I'm at a point right now where I'm not really doing that. I only pump if I'll miss a feeding. If we're out and she gets a bottle, and I'll just come home and pump then, so I don't like lose my milk supply. And also I don't like get engorged and get massaged or anything like that. Are you planning to follow any sort of sleep schedule, sleep training program? So we are toying with this. Like we're doing our own, like we've here like eat, play, sleep, and we'll hear like let them cry it out. We're doing kind of like our own little thing. It is very similar to those things, but we are trying to find the schedule that works for her. I think we're taking bits and pieces of all of these different, I guess, sleep training programs and kind of adding what we think might help her, if that makes sense. Congratulations, what postpartum body rep are you using? I'm actually not using one at all. I didn't know that was a thing. I do have one from Bumpsuit. I think I wore it like 2 days after I gave birth, and it was like very, it wasn't very comfortable for me to sit down, and I was still in recovery and I didn't want to stand very much, so I was literally like laying down like this. And I didn't wear it after that. I don't know if I should, to be totally honest. I don't know if that's like suggested. I don't know. Favorite postpartum items, anything unexpected, what you learned about you and God. Oh my gosh, what a question. So favorite postpartum items, I would have to say the padsicles that I made, and then the little like spray thing to rinse your hoo-ha out. Anything unexpected. The night sweats were definitely unexpected. And then what I learned about me or myself and God. What I learned about myself is, so before, when I was pregnant, I would have the worry that I would not be able to get up. So I am somebody that needs her sleep. Not because like, oh, I need to be rested. I physically get sick if I don't sleep. And one thing that I learned about myself is that this body knows exactly what to do. So obviously in the beginning, I was not sleeping very much, but I was, obviously when I would hear her cry, I'm like, I'm so tired, but I would get up and I'm like, I'm good. Like I would see her and I'm like, I could do this all day, every day, which is wild because when I was, you know, before I had her, I was like, oh no, you can't, I cannot function without sleep. So that's something I learned about myself, that this body is like, it knows exactly what to do, when to do it. Also unexpected, my boobs leak when it's time to feed. Like when it was time to feed, like 2 or 3 hours on the dot, she would cry, I would leak. And I'm like, that is insane. Which leads me to the next question. Something I learned about God is that like, there cannot not be a God. Like, you're gonna tell me somebody engineered? No, like this is there are so many little miracles that happen between, you know, obviously getting pregnant, being pregnant, giving birth, postpartum, feeding, breastfeeding. Like there's just so many miracles throughout that you cannot tell me that God does not exist. And something else that I've learned is that just God's love towards us. Like the amount of love I have for this girl, and like, let's be honest, she hasn't done anything. She's just here, right? That's kind of the love that God has for us. We don't have to perform for him. We don't have to like reach these accolades for him. He just loves us the way we are. And that's something that I've learned through this process, because that's how we feel about our own kids, you know? So insane. Get back to my active lifestyle. What are your thoughts on this? I think that whenever you can, go ahead and do it, girlfriend. I waited till the 6 weeks because I thought I had to wait to get cleared. But when I went to see my doctor, she's like, oh, you could have worked out as soon as you thought, or you felt good. She said that there's a lot of misconceptions about, especially a vaginal birth. Like if you're at vaginal birth, like the uterus shrinks down right away. Not like right away, but like mine went down really fast actually. But she said that if I felt good, I could have worked out, I could have, you know, lifted weights, obviously not super heavy, but that I didn't necessarily have to wait the 6 weeks. So obviously speak to your doctor about this, but if you did have a vaginal delivery, you might not have to wait 6 weeks to get cleared. However, if you had a C-section, obviously there's like a cut and incision and all that, and you have to be very, very careful. But yeah, I say if you're up for it and you want to move, then move, because it's definitely going to be good for your physical health, but also your mental health. A couple questions on this. How much weight did you gain? I'm struggling with not being so hard on myself for that. How much weight did you gain during pregnancy, and is anything helping you postpartum? I was like 186, and I think I ended up at like 233, 235 minus 186. Yeah, I gained about 50 pounds, and I think I've lost like 20 of it, not even 15. Nothing is helping me postpartum. I'm not actively doing anything postpartum to try to lose that baby weight. I have started working out now because I do feel like heavier, lethargic, like very heavy, and I just don't like how that feels on me. But I also know that I am breastfeeding, and my main priority right now is her, not what my body looks like. And I have to learn to give myself grace. Like, do not get me wrong, I tell Taz all the time, like, I don't like the way I look, I don't like the way I feel. And he is also reminding me that I have a job to do right now, and my job is not to look this way. My job is to feed our baby girl and to give her what she needs. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not really like dieting right now. I'm just moving my body more, and hopefully my weight starts to regulate. Once I am done breastfeeding, which I don't know when that will be, I will focus on that. But right now, that's not my focus. Not postpartum, but how old are you? I'm 31 and feel like my time is ticking to have kids. I am actually 36. I got pregnant when I was 35. Gave birth when I was 36. I mean, every person is so different. I think if you're concerned about it, I would definitely speak to your doctor to see if, you know, there's anything that you can do to just be proactive about it. I will say though, when I went to the doctor, they did call me a geriatric pregnancy. Not that it should be called that, but fun fact. Most helpful thing to do for a new mom is, honestly, just reach out. Like, you'll never know what the person needs until you reach out. I've spoken to a lot of my friends that they've told me that they didn't want to reach out because they didn't want to bombard me or make me feel overwhelmed, where I am the exact opposite. I want to know that you're thinking about me. I want to know that you want to help. And for me, that's you reaching out. Again, everybody's different. So maybe ask your friend what's the best way you can support her. But, you know, sending meals, coming over, helping cleaning, folding laundry, like all the things that have to get done that are not really a priority, but would help to have done. Obviously, the new mom is gonna take care of the baby. But again, I would just reach out to your friend and see if she, you know, if she's pregnant, like ask her what you can do when she's postpartum and in that season. The first poop, mine was awful. Oh gosh, that was awful. So I think I didn't poop. I didn't go to the bathroom for I think like a week and a half, and I was so scared too, because obviously they're not the same hole, but it's still like, it just feels very weird. And I remember like holding my breath. The one thing I will say is that you don't want to push. You want to wait till it like just comes out, because you don't want to push when you're still recovering, especially if you have stitches from tearing. So I think I was not hyping myself up. I was giving myself more anxiety about it than it actually was. Did any of the anxiety you had prior to giving birth carry over? Thankfully, not really, no. I'm very happy to report that I have not been dealing with any postpartum anxiety or depression. I think I have like your normal anxiety of like, you know, is she awake when she's like sleeping? Because I've never had a baby, so I don't know those things. And like I'll hear her make little noises and I'm like, it's that normal? But I was very afraid of having postpartum depression and anxiety, because I've dealt with that before pregnancy, and I know that it could still affect me. I'm not like in the clear or anything, but as of right now, I'm doing really well. I think that my baby Luna has actually helped with my anxiety, because she just puts a lot of things in perspective for me, and I am just so grateful for that. When will you bring baby to New Hampshire? I don't know, Latika. I actually have no idea. We do want to go on a trip fairly soon. I do want to get on a flight sooner rather than later, because I do want to experience the whole thing, just get it under my belt. Because obviously people hype you up and you're like, you can't fly with a baby, but I know that you can. People do it all the time, and I just want to do it so that I can experience it and not be so afraid of it. What's something no one talks about that you wish you knew or would share? The night sweats, definitely. And my body just hurts. Like my wrists hurts, my joints hurt. I think everything coming back to normal. For me anyway, I had a lot of fluid and inflammation. It just hurts. My body was just hurting. My shoulders, my chest, my neck, my fingers, my toe, like everything hurt. And now it's getting better, but it was still really bad right after. So that's something that I would definitely share. Last but not least, did you feel like you grieved the old you before baby? Yes and no. Like I think that I had pretty bad, not fears, but like fear of the unknown before I had Luna. If you watch my YouTube channel, you'll know that I was crying about it, and I was just like, I didn't want to forget Taz and I. Like, I loved who we are and I didn't want it to go away. And I'll say that, oh gosh, seeing Taz like really show up postpartum, it was just incredible. Like I've never seen Taz like that, and it made me love him even more. And one thing I will say is that like Taz and I are still alone. Like it's just a baby. I was very scared of losing that, just me and him. But right now it's still me and him. Like our baby is just a baby. She's not a toddler. She's not like a 7-year-old who's always there. So I think we still have a couple of years for that to happen. And then at that point, I think we'll have a better grasp of that and balance it a lot better. But I will say that I was working myself up a lot worse than what it truly is. So if there's anything I can tell you or encourage you with, is that It's gonna be fine. You're gonna learn, you're gonna cry, you're gonna go through all these different emotions, but at the end of the day, you're gonna be okay, and hopefully you're gonna love this new life and really appreciate those little things that mean the most, right? So did I grieve my old self? I mean, I'm grieving my independence. I'm grieving, you know, getting up and going whenever I want. Now I have to plan a little bit more, and that's not a bad thing. I just have to, you know, I have to create a new system for myself and a new system for our family, a new system for my job, because I am still trying to figure out how that's gonna look like. But at the end of the day, I would not change this for the world, because it is true what they say. As soon as you meet your baby, you're gonna not forget what life was like before, but you can't imagine your life without her. I can't imagine my life without my baby anymore. Like, did I have a great time before her? Yes, for sure. But I don't know, my baby is just my whole entire world, and I'm so thankful that she's here and healthy and just teaching me new things about myself, about life. Seeing the world through her eyes now is just like seeing the awe and the joy, like seeing her like look at lights for the first time, and like, or Christmas lights I should say, and like trees and like noise. It's just so fascinating, and I just love her so much. But I hope these answered your questions, and if there's anything I didn't answer, please let me know down below. I'd be happy to finish in the comments. But thank you so much for watching. If you are in the season of your life where you are about to give birth, or pregnant, or newly postpartum, just remember that you will get through it. These days won't last forever, so just keep on trucking. And whenever you feel overwhelmed, just know that you are the perfect mother for this child. God chose you for this child. You are perfect for them, and you know exactly what they need when they need it. So trust yourself. That is something that I've had to learn to do, and if I could encourage anyone with that, then please take it and repeat it if you need to. But you are perfectly capable, and you are the perfect mom for this baby. So with that, thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.